What if death is not the end, but the beginning of something more important? This question sounds like a challenge to existence itself. For thousands of years, humanity has been trying to solve the mystery of what awaits us beyond life. Myths, religions, philosophical teachings, they all offered their answers, but none of them gave an exhaustive explanation. For some, death is a gloomy void. For others, it is a door leading to something immeasurably greater. Science has not been left out either. Scientists are investigating the phenomena of clinical death by analyzing the neural processes at the moment when the heart freezes and the brain begins to fade away. Attempts to explain vivid visions, tunnels of light, and a sense of peace are often reduced to biochemical reactions or lack of oxygen. But even so, there remains something that cannot be rationalized. Emotions, memories, awareness of one's own separation from the physical body. It is especially intriguing when people known all over the world talk about such experiences. Their voices sound louder, and their words make you think about the main thing. Celebrities who have experienced clinical death share revelations that go beyond the usual reality. They talk about meetings with the deceased, travels to unknown worlds, and a feeling of deep peace. But these are not just stories. These are the testimonies of those who teetered on the edge of two worlds and returned to tell about their experiences. What did they see? How did they feel? How did these moments change their lives? In this video, you will learn about 5 celebrities who have looked beyond the veil of life and death. Their stories, steeped in mysticism and mystery, will not leave you indifferent. After all, perhaps their experiences are a clue for all of us. Our lives are not limited to our physical existence. The story of Sharon Stone. In 2001, Sharon Stone, an actress with worldwide fame, found herself on the verge between life and death. As a result of this incident, she had only a 1% chance of survival. Stone recalls the painful moments leading up to her clinical death, which she vividly describes in her memoirs. On that fateful September day, Sharon Stone felt a severe headache that she had never had before. This prompted her to seek medical help, where it turned out that her vertebral artery had been severed, causing internal bleeding in the brain that lasted 9 days. During this critical period, she lost consciousness and was transferred to a neurological hospital for emergency surgery, which lasted 7 hours. But at this difficult moment, an event occurred that turned her perception of reality upside down. After the operation, she told something that shocked many. According to her, she felt like her body was left behind somewhere, and her consciousness began to separate. There was a strange, inexplicable peace, as if all fears and worries had disappeared. She saw herself from the outside, as if her essence existed separately from the physical body. Then the movement began through a dark tunnel, which was gradually filled with bright light, so dazzling that it is difficult to describe it in words. In this light, she met the spirits of dead people. These spirits were incredibly real, but their presence was felt not through sight or hearing, but on some deep level, as if communication took place directly through thoughts or feelings. There was no need for words. Communication in another world was completely different. This experience forced Sharon to rethink not only death, but also life itself. She said that she felt completely accepted and loved in this space, devoid of time and boundaries. For her, for sure, this was proof that existence is not limited to the physical shell. After returning to life, Stone changed her attitude to many things. She also began to pay more attention to the spiritual side of her existence, realizing that the real connection between people goes far beyond the material world. This story of Sharon Stone continues to inspire many who are looking for answers to questions about life after death. Her experiences are a mystery that remains beyond scientific explanation, but deeply affects those who believe that there is something more behind the veil of life. The story of Tracy Morgan. In 2014, the life of comedian and actor Tracy Morgan almost ended. A terrible car accident, which killed one of his friends, and Tracy himself was in critical condition, became a turning point in his life. He spent several days in a coma, balancing on the edge between life and death. But for him, this period was not just a medical crisis, but a journey into another dimension, where he encountered something that forever changed his perception of life. Tracy said that at the time of his clinical death, he saw his late father, whom he had lost in his youth. It was not just a memory, but a meeting that seemed incredibly real. His father looked the way Tracy remembered him in his best years, and his presence was felt not only visually, but also at the level of emotions and feelings. Tracy recalled that his father had told him that it was not yet time to leave for another world. The father made it clear that Tracy must come back to life in order to complete his mission. This feeling left a deep mark on the comedian's soul, forcing him to rethink many aspects of his life. And after returning to consciousness, Tracy admitted that this experience changed his life and attitude towards people. The story of Jane Seymour. Jane Seymour, a British actress known for her role in the TV series Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman, experienced a clinical death that left a deep mark on her life. This happened after anaphylactic shock caused by an allergic reaction to penicillin. Her body stopped responding to resuscitation measures, and at that moment, Seymour experienced something that she described as going beyond the boundaries of familiar reality. The actress recalled that she saw her body from the outside. The sight was both strange and peaceful. She was aware that she was outside her physical body, but at the same time she felt completely calm. Seymour felt light, floating, and watched as the medics fought for her life. This experience, she said, was so real that it left no doubt about its truth. But the most striking moment was that she felt the presence of light. This light was not just a visual image, it filled her with a feeling of love, acceptance, and peace. Seymour said that in this state, all fears, anxieties, and doubts disappeared, as if she found herself in a place where absolute harmony reigns. As in many cases of clinical death experience, she was faced with a choice: to leave for another world or return back to her body. She expressed a desire to return to her body primarily in order to be with her children, stating, "I want to raise my children." When the doctors brought her back to life, she felt that the experience had changed her. Seymour admitted that her perception of life and death has completely changed. She was no longer afraid of death, seeing it as something more than the end of existence. Instead, she began to look at life from the point of view of its deep value, began to devote more time to her loved ones and projects that bring positive changes to the world. Jane Seymour also noted that this experience strengthened her intuition and inner sense of harmony. In her work and in her life, there has been more attention to spiritual aspects, to what goes beyond the material. She said that her near-death experience was not scary, but an inspiring event. The story of Elizabeth Taylor. Elizabeth Taylor, one of the greatest actresses of the golden age of Hollywood, has repeatedly found herself in difficult life situations. But one of these events, which occurred during a medical emergency, left an indelible mark on her soul. The actress recalled that at the moment when her heart stopped, she found herself in a state that could not be explained in terms of familiar reality. She was suffering from pneumonia at the time, and she was pronounced dead several times. Taylor described a vivid experience in which she felt welcomed by her late husband Mike Todd, who urged her to come back to life. During her hospitalization, she experienced an out-of-body sensation when she saw the medical staff working on her, but could not communicate. She remembered floating through a tunnel filled with warmth and light, and eventually meeting Todd, who had died 3 years ago. Despite her desire to join him, he insisted that she still had something to do on Earth. Their marriage was short but full of love, and his tragic death in a plane crash in 1958 left a deep wound in Elizabeth's heart. Now she saw him again, not as an image from her memories, but as a living and vivid presence. After her recovery, Taylor felt the need to share her experience with the doctors present, fearing that otherwise she might consider herself crazy. At first, she did not want to discuss this mystical case, but later found solace in the fact that others had similar experiences. After this event, she realized that her outlook on life had changed. Taylor realized that every moment of her life is valuable, and she still has a lot to do. And indeed, after this event, the actress devoted most of her time to charity. She became an active advocate for people with HIV at a time when the topic was surrounded by stigma and fear. Her voice, as a global celebrity, helped to draw attention to the problem and change public opinion. The story of Marilyn Manson. Marilyn Manson, known for his provocative music and outrageous image, has shocked the audience more than once, but one of the most amazing episodes of his life is associated with the mystical experience of clinical death. It happened as a result of an overdose when his heart stopped, and he found himself in a state that he described as a journey beyond reality. Manson said that the moment consciousness left his body, he found himself in a place that was both gloomy and fascinating. It did not resemble the usual images of light and peace, which are described by many who have experienced clinical death. Instead, he felt himself in a space filled with shadows and mysterious energy, where everything seemed illusory, but at the same time frighteningly real. It was a journey that felt like a transition between worlds. He felt himself on the borderline. On the one hand, there was a world to which he was used, and on the other, something completely different that cannot be described in words. He was surrounded by strange images and sounds that seemed to interact with his mind. At that moment, he realized how thin the line between life and death is, and how deep the secrets hidden behind this veil can be. This experience was an important turning point in Manson's life and work. He has always been inclined to reflect on the nature of the human soul, fear, and death, but after this incident, his interest in these topics became even more intense. This experience is reflected in his music, which explores the dark sides of the human psyche and questions about the meaning of existence. Manson admitted that this moment made him overestimate many things. He began to look at life as a game of contrasts, light and darkness, fear and power. His art, filled with symbolism and metaphors, has become even more intense, reflecting not only his inner demons, but also an attempt to understand what goes beyond human perception. The mystical experiences that celebrities who have gone through clinical death have told about are not just amazing stories. These are events that have become deeply personal moments of transformation for them. For each of them, this experience was a moment of rebooting, forcing them to rethink their priorities, understand the fragility of life, and its infinite value. They came out of this state not only with new impressions, but also with a changed worldview deeply rooted in their future path. Their art, words, and deeds became a reflection of what they saw beyond the edge. But what if there's more to these stories than just personal experience? Perhaps death is not the end, but just a transition, a new stage. Cases of clinical death remind us that there may be something more hidden beyond the usual perception. Perhaps even answers to the most important questions about the nature of being. Dear friends, if you, like me, are looking for an answer to perhaps the most important question of our lives, is there life after death? Then I recommend watching my other videos. My channel is completely dedicated to this topic, and I hope that it will be useful to you. Thank you so much for your support. If you like this video, please rate it with a like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I wish you happiness, kindness, and all the best that is in this world. See you soon.